Everyone who thirsts, come to the waters. Come and eat. Listen diligently to me, and eat what is good, and let your soul delight itself. I just had Toshio bring up a whole box of books, set them here on this bench. And these are books, a few books from my library. And I want to, I don't need these. I'll take these off. There, now I can look straight at you. Hallelujah. I want to go through some basic Bible study books that I have found to be indispensable in my own personal Bible study. These are Bible help books. And this is a place, you know, it's funny, I've never, in all the churches I've been in, I've never heard a pastor or a teacher ever give a teaching like this, but I'm a rubber meets the road kind of guy. I'm a real, you know, I want to give people things that are practical and that they can use. I believe, and I'm not a communist, but I believe in power to the people. You know the clenched fist. Well, I'm not. This is a sign of rebellion. But I forget the rebellion part. But I believe in power to the people. We want to empower the people. Empower you. That's what Yeshua came to do, empower people. He didn't come to just be a one-man show and do everything himself. He brought in disciples and he trained them and he sent them out and he empowered them to go do and multiply and replicate what he did. And that's what the disciples did. They raised up others to do the same thing. So that's what I want to do. That's why we provide free study guides and materials for people to use those however they want, to teach others and to disciple people and to start little fellowships, and we'll help them any way we can. And we're not trying to start a denomination. We don't have a group of fellowships that I'm the leader of and all that. I'm not into that. We're all brothers and sisters, and we're here to help one another freely. As we have received freely from Him, we give freely. That's what our ministry is all about. Hoshana, Rabbah, Biblical Discipleship Resources. So in line with that, I want to share with you some of the tools and resources that I have found in the form of books that I have found the most useful and helpful in my spiritual walk as a biblical researcher and studier of the Bible and a teacher. And these are books that are all available, readily available. You know, you can go to cbd.com, Christian Book Distributors, get them for discount, and I make no money on it. You know, you can go to amazon.com, you'll find all these books on there. And so I just want to encourage you. And I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to pick books out in more or less in the order of how they are the most helpful. Starting with the most helpful down the list. And it may not go exactly, but this is just my own subjective order. And I want to encourage you all to, when you read the Bible, study the Bible, and maybe dig into some things a little bit. Don't just listen to what the preacher or the teacher is saying and believe it. Go prove it for yourself. Every one of you needs to stand on your own 2 feet, because everybody is accountable to Elohim for what you do and will answer to Him on the day of judgment. So if what you're hearing doesn't sound right, go prove it. That's why I write just about everything out and put it out there with all the biblical references, because I want you to go and read it in the Bible yourself and test it and make sure it's correct. And if I am incorrect, then let's talk about it, and maybe I need to be corrected. Or whatever. Or maybe you need to be corrected, but we can all help each other. So that's why I believe in power to the people. Get the biblical books and start to learn to use them yourself, and you will be blessed for it. I would say probably the first book I started using about 45 years ago, and I used to borrow my dad's, was the Strong's Concordance. Now this is a really, really basic tool. Some people act like it's the Bible, and it's not. But it's a very helpful tool. And this is, next to the Bible, this would be probably the book that I would recommend in your library for a layman. Somebody who doesn't know Greek and Hebrew. Because there's little numbers here that are all keyed. You can look up a word, and this is based on the King James Bible. So if you don't regularly use the King James Bible, I suggest that you get a King James Bible just so you can use the Strong's numbering system. Because every word in the Greek and every word in the Hebrew has a number. And you can look up that word in the King James Bible that's going to roughly correspond to whatever your favorite translation is, and look it up in here. And then there'll be a number, and then there'll be a dictionary in the back, and you can go back and look it up and get a fuller understanding and meaning of the word. And sometimes that really helps. Sometimes it really helps to give you a broad definition. Now, some of you who are multilingual in this room, we have Spanish and Russian and Burmese and Chinese and Japanese and French. You know that when you are translating from one language to another, sometimes you can use more than one word. And let me say French, but also Greek and Hebrew. I get around in those languages, well enough. And when you translate from one language to another, sometimes you can pick more than one word. And it's hard to know which one to pick. So you're going to pick the word that makes the most sense to you. But that may not be the only way to translate that word. And sometimes there's words in our Bible that have been translated by translators when they could have used another word, and maybe it's not the best word, but it was a matter of their personal opinion. So when you read it, if you look at the Strong's Concordance, it will give you other meanings to the word, and that can be very helpful in understanding that. So the number one book that I would probably use if I were stranded on a desert island would be a Strong's Concordance for somebody that's just a beginner in biblical research. And it's something you can pick it up for very inexpensively. They're readily available. You probably go to a bookstore, a used bookstore, and pick one up for, $10 or something. Okay, the next book that I probably would want to use if I was stranded on a desert island would be, let's see here. Would probably be this one. Where is it? It would be, yeah, here we go. This is Nave's Topical Bible. It's been around a long time. And this is, for those people who don't know where to find things in the scriptures, you can look up a word or a concept, and it'll list all the places, or a lot of the places in the Bible where that word or concept is found. Nave's Topical Bible. And again, this is by Zondervan. It's been out there for years. So you can look up a word like righteousness or sin, or healing, or ignorance, or peace, or Sabbath, and it'll list all the scriptures or a lot of the scriptures, the main ones, where that word is found. It'll just list the scriptures down. Now, a lot of you have chain reference Bibles, like the Thompson chain reference in the center column of your Bible, and many times this will give you related scriptures also, and that's a very helpful thing to have. And I use my chain references all the time. Many times I add to my chain references because they don't always give all the scriptures. And I'll add in there, I have a wide margin Bible, so I'll add marginal notes in there. But I have found the Nave's Top, I have used that a lot. And I would encourage you to maybe get one of those. at some point in time. That might be the second one that I might want to use, if, especially if I didn't know the scriptures very well. It would be a good resource. What would be the next one? Oh yeah, I would definitely have a good Bible dictionary. I've got several of them. I just pulled a small one. I've got a multi-volume set. This happens to be the Nelson's Illustrated Bible Dictionary. But I would say this would probably be the next thing that I would want in my Bible reference library. And there's a lot of good ones out there. And you can go online and get a lot of these things for free. If you go to HoshanaRabbah.org, our ministry website, on the links page, we have a list of all kinds of biblical references where you can get these things. Or you can sometimes there's Christian Bible resource sites that have these things on there for free. So you don't necessarily have to buy them if you have access to the internet. But this is a Bible dictionary is a great tool, because you can open up subjects in the Bible and learn about them, and it gives you a lot of historical background, cultural background, and helps you to understand the background of the Bible and concepts, and gives you an overview of things. So I would definitely want a Bible dictionary. And you know, this has lots of beautiful pictures in it. This is a very simple dictionary. You can get you know, like I said, I have a multi-volume set that is very comprehensive and more scholarly, and that's very helpful too. So I would definitely get a good Bible dictionary, and I think everybody needs to have one of those in their library. Okay, what else have we got? I would. The next thing I probably would get, because I'm a Torah teacher, is I'd like to get a good Torah commentary. Because it is the bedrock foundation of the Bible. And I would suggest a good Jewish commentary. And there are several one-volume commentaries. I have many commentaries. I have a number of one-volume ones, and I have multiple volume. But the first one I like the best, this is put out by Art Scroll. It's a Orthodox Jewish publishing house out of New York City. And this is called the Stone Edition Chumash. Chumash, C-H-U-M-A-S-H. That is the Hebrew way, or the Hebrew way of saying Torah, or it's a Torah study guide. And this has the Hebrew, it has the Torah in English, and then in Hebrew, so you can actually learn to read your Hebrew a little bit. And then it has a lot of really nice commentary, Jewish and Hebraic background of the Torah. Now, many times they're quoting Jewish sages and scholars, and some of the stuff that they have, you got to take it with a grain of salt. And some of it's there's stuff in there that's traditions of men. So you got to weed that out. But there's a lot of good stuff in here. And I would highly recommend that you have one of these. There's other ones too. This is just one example, but this is the one that I have used the most. And then from here you can branch out and get other ones and get multi-volume sets. And that's a whole another discussion, and I could tell you which ones I like, but I'm just giving you kind of basics here. This is the Art Scroll Stone Edition Chumash. Again, it's available at artscroll.com or Amazon or, you know, different places. Probably the next thing that I would want after having this commentary, I'd probably want to get the Jewish New Testament commentary. This is put out by Dr. David Stern. He's the one that translated the complete Jewish Bible. Many of you are familiar with that and use it. But this is his commentary on the New Testament from a pro-Torah Hebrew roots perspective. Now, he is a Messianic Jewish scholar. He lives in Israel. He has his training at, I believe it's Fuller Theological Seminary. He has a doctorate in I think it's economics, but he has a master's degree in biblical Greek, and he's lived in Israel in Jerusalem or that area for, I don't know, 30 years or something. So he's been around. This is a very good commentary. There are some things I don't agree with, but like everything, he takes the view that Gentiles don't have to keep the Torah. While he's going and he makes some really, really pro-Torah statements and brilliant. And then he goes and says, yeah, but if you're a Christian and you're non-Jewish, you don't have to keep the Torah. So disregard that nonsense. But by and large, this gives you some really, really good background into Hebraic thought and the Apostle Paul, and why a lot of the things that the church says that Paul is saying, he's really not saying it at all. I cut my teeth on this years ago and found it to be by and large, very, very good. I would highly recommend this. All right, what's next? Well, since we're talking about commentaries, now right now I'm just going to throw some stuff. These are the main ones that I would recommend. Here's another book. This is called the Bible Background Commentary of the New Testament. This is put out by IVP Press and InterVarsity Press, and by Craig Keener. He's a scholar. And this again is a commentary on the New Testament based on understanding it in its Hebraic context. A very, very good Bible resource, which I recommend also. And then another one that's like it is, this is the commentary on the New Testament use of the Old Testament, and this is by two doctors. Well, I don't know, they're professors. Beale and Carson are the editors. So I guess there's a lot of people that have contributed to this one. This is another good one-volume set in that arena. Now, next we get into lexicons. At the beginning I gave you Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. If you want to get into the language a little bit more, then I'm going to give you some additional resources. This is one that I started using when I was a kid, very young, and this is Vine's Complete Expository Dictionary of Old and New Testament Words. Well, originally it was just the New Testament, but they've expanded it out to be the Old Testament. So this gives you biblical words, and it gives you more background than maybe even Strong's Concordance. Although some of the new Strong's Concordance have incorporated a little bit more broader understanding than the old ones that I grew up with. But this is a good one. Vine's, I would recommend that. A couple of standard lexicons. This is a Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, Gesenius. And it's keyed off of Strong's numbering systems. James Strong lived in the late 1800s, and he, like I said before, he numbered a number of all the words in the Bible, the Hebrew words and the Greek words, and he has a dictionary for both Hebrew and Greek. And he numbered them, gave them all a number, and a lot of resources go off of those numbering systems. Gesenius does for the Hebrew. Thayer's lexicon. Where's Thayer's? Oh, did I forget to bring Thayer's? Well, Thayer's lexicon is like this, but it's for the New Testament, and it's numbered off of Strong's Concordance system. And remember, Strong's goes off for the King James. And I think Vine's also goes, I'm not sure about, I know Vine's doesn't, but Vine's does list the Strong's numbering system. And Gesenius goes off of the Strong's numbering system. So if you find such and such a word in the King James Bible and you look it up in your Strong's Concordance, and let's say it's number 5426, well, you can go to number 5426 in here, and it'll be the same word, and it will give you maybe more understanding. And the same thing with Thayer's lexicon, Thayers, which is the New Testament version of this. And this is this is a real top one. This is the Brown Driver Briggs Gesenius Hebrew lexicon. Hebrew English, and is tied to the Strong's numbering system too. The reason these numbering system is really good, because if you don't know Hebrew and Greek, or you don't know the Greek and Hebrew alphabet, try looking up words in a dictionary that are ordered, that are written in Hebrew and according to the Hebrew alphabet, and they go according to Hebrew. And if you don't read Hebrew, you're not going to get there very quickly. Now, I read Hebrew and I don't need the Strong's. I can go directly to the Hebrew. I can look up a word up directly in Hebrew. I don't even need the Strong's numbering system. But for years I wasn't able to do that until I learned Hebrew. I could do the same thing in Greek. But for those who do not read or write, do not read and understand Hebrew or Greek, these numbering systems are really, really good. I would also recommend, this is the Englishman's Greek and Hebrew New Testament. This is a very good resource. This does not give you definitions. You need your Strong's Concordance from one of these other concordances for that. But this will give you every place in the Bible where a word is used, and you can look it up and see other places where that word is used and match similar scriptures together. And it's all based on the Hebrew, the Strong's numbering system. This is for the Old Testament, and this is for the New Testament. It's a 2-volume set. And again, all these are available at Christian book distributors, or CBD.com, or Amazon.com, or wherever else you might get your books. And then the last two resources that I want to share at this point is the Theological Word Book of the Old Testament. This is a 2-volume set, and these have their own numbering systems. It's not a Strong's numbering system, so you got to know your Hebrew a little bit, actually I think they might have they have the Strong's numbering system in the back. So if you do not know your Hebrew or your Greek, you can look up the Strong's numbering system and it will tell you what page to turn to. And this gives you a lot of this is a real scholarly work, respected by scholars, and it gives you a lot of background information and the meanings of Hebrew words, and it takes you back to the root words and what the root words mean, and similar cognates. I use this a lot, and I really recommend this. And again, this is available, readily available anywhere you go. And then in conclusion, if you want to take a Bible with you that's kind of everything wrapped up in one, not everything, but a lot of things, this is the, this happens to be the King James, but it comes in the New King James, it comes in several different common versions. This is the Zodiades Keyword Study Bible. And this I highly recommend because it has a complete Strong's Concordance in the back. It has, with all the meanings of the word, the dictionary, New and Old Testament. It has a concordance in the back where you can look up words and see where a lot of those words are used. It also gives you some background into the tenses, like the Hebrew tenses and the Greek tenses that are used. Of course, it's got maps. So it's got a bunch of resources in the back, and what's nice is as you're reading along, you probably can't see this too well, maybe I could put this up against the camera, but you will see that there's numbers. As you're reading along, there's numbers over certain words. They're superscript, and the numbers are underlined. And you can look those numbers up in the back of that Bible, and they will give you what Strong's, what Vine's, and what some of the other common lexicons will say about the word and give you the meaning of it. And also, they will tell you, like especially in the New Testament, what the various tense is of those words. So you can look that up and see what the tense is. In Koine Greek, there's a lot of different tenses, and sometimes it can get rather confusing, and it helps you to interpret that and maybe get a little more accurate understanding of what the writer is saying. So this is kind of a Bible study tool all wrapped up in one that you can take with you in one Bible. So those are my favorite choices for Bible study guides. There are other ones out there, but that's what I have used the most, and I have hundreds of others that I use that are in my library, but those are the main ones that I've used the most. And I would encourage you to, little by little, maybe start investing, and it is an investment, and it will pay you back, but investing in some of these and start studying the Bible with the help of these resources, and then let the Bible expand and unfold in front of you as your understanding grows and your depth and love for the written word of Elohim expands. Now, I know this doesn't sound very kosher, but you know how pigs like to wallow around in the mud? You've seen pigs? They get in there and they root around. Well, I like to wallow around. Now, I'm not a pig. I'm not unkosher, but I like to get in there and I like to wallow around. I mean, I just go hog wild in the word of Elohim. And sometimes I'll get busy and I'll have books piled up on my desk and all spread out, and I got them on the floor, and I'm just like all over the place. And a lot of my articles that I've written and teachings come as I'm literally just immersing myself for hours and sometimes days at a time in the word of Elohim as I'm able to, and I'm just literally sucking it up and just feasting on it, kind of like a pig wallowing in the mud, but I mean, that's a really bad metaphor, but you understand what I mean. Imagine that in a positive sense. So I hope that you have a wonderful time immersing yourself in the word of Elohim and just wallowing in it in a positive sense as much as a pig enjoys wallowing in the mud. Maybe there's a better analogy, but you get the point of what I'm saying. So let the water of the word wash over you and be blessed. And there's my recommendations. Blessings to you and happy studying.
Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon his name. He's near, he's near, he's near. Yeshu Hashem Matzov Kerabu Yoto Karov Yasov Rashad Darko Yishavim Machshevotav Yashovel Ad Hashem Yarbe is Yeshu Hashem Behi Matzo Kerahu